work.
This is A View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today is Tuesday, 5th of November. Says it's frozen, it seems. Remember 5th November. My name is Patrick Smith. Next to me is the statistician for the Belfast Giants, David McGimsey, and he was here a minute ago, but he's just popped out. It's Mr. Simon Kitchen. Over the next hour or so, we'll be bringing you all the news and views of the Belfast Giants from the last week. We are live or on demand on X, YouTube, Facebook, and you also listen to us through all your really good podcast providers, only the really good ones. 3 games, 3 wins in the last week, and a direct route to the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup for the Belfast Giants. Let's look at the games and the new face that's in the locker room. We'll be joined later by Scott Conway for a chat ahead of this weekend's road trip back to Manchester and Sheffield, and we may discuss a little bit of news and then tackle the enforcer debate. Shall we do that? We've been trailing that for a few weeks. Mr. McGimsey, how are you doing?
Terrible, mate, but, is what it is. There's Sis back.
Sorry, go on.
Sis is back.
Sis is back. Sis is back. How are you, Sis?
I don't know. Did you hear me with the F-bomb?
No, I didn't hear the F-bomb. I think we missed that.
Maybe on your head now. Give me a complex.
Who knows?
Sorry if I did.
That's right.
Yes, okay, sorry.
Good man. Before we kick it off, I'm going to ask you, gents, for your heroes and villains for the last week. Mr. McGimsey, bit of a different start. Who's your heroes and villains? Who's your hero and villain from the last week?
That says there. I need to think about that.
I know. I've been busy. All right, Mr. Kitchen, you start. Who's Mr. Kitchen? Who's your hero and villain from last week?
My hero of the week, Max Stewart.
Yeah.
Didn't hesitate. Just jumped straight in when Scott Conway was collided in the middle. We had a second look at it, and it looked like it just was a collision. It didn't look like anything sinister, but love the way Mac just went straight in. Don't think he got any punches or anything, and maybe slipped and landed in the middle of about 6 or 7 people. But you'll take a spur instead of a strike every once in a while. And the villain of the week, I'm probably gonna get in trouble with this.
Same for me. I go and same guy.
I think it has to be Joe Sewell. Look, he didn't do any games. He didn't do any games on the Saturday night, and I think the Elite League did the right thing with that. But you can't do that as a referee. I don't want to get myself in any more trouble. And I think everybody's seen it on the internet, and I don't think we should show it again.
I think everybody's seen it. I think everybody's commented on it. I think everybody sort of has the same. Maybe it was a bit of a lapse from Joe, but
you know what? It's a rush of blood to the head. Yeah, rush of blood to the head, and it's just something that you shouldn't see. From a hockey player, from an official, from anybody, that's dangerous. Shouldn't be happening.
David, your hero and villain of the week.
What was the score on Sunday? We won 2-0.
1-0.
1-0. So I go with Tom McCollum with back-to-back shutouts. My hero anyway. Played for the Detroit Red Wings, but hero of the week for me to the Belfast Giants. And I'd stick with the Stripies. My good friend Andrew Dalton, just for the disallowed high stick, because you'd put me on the spot.
Right. On Halloween, the Giants announced the addition of an import defenseman, Carl Boudry. Thanks, Sis. Joined the lineup, arriving from Slovakian team HC Nové Zámky. The 24-year-old from Quebec spent 7 years in the Quebec juniors before various teams before a stint on the coast with, I think in the coast they say Worcester, but we would say Worcester here, South Carolina and Tulsa. He arrives in Belfast saying that he's really excited to start his new journey and that he's heard nothing but good things about Belfast. Hooray! Davy, your thoughts on bringing this D-man in? Obviously, we've been rattled a little bit from some injuries and whatever, and we're looking to strengthen the side. Looks like the real deal.
It's been over a year now of just injury after injury. Obviously, Zach Galambos come in the summer. Hasn't been able to play a game so far. Mike Lee's out injured. We've had different knocks here and there. So good to get another body in. By all accounts, very, very good skater. Says will go on to say a bit more about him. He's seen him obviously train, but by all accounts, for what we've read so far, that would be his real strong suit. Which is, it's always good to have a good skating D man back there. So looking forward to seeing him going. Number 71. I think that I put on Twitter, he was our 5th or 6th custodian of the number 71 jersey. If you can rhyme them off. Well, you can give me some 71s.
Great Peacock.
Great Peacock is the one that comes to mind. Ed Courtney?
72. No, 72.
Yeah. Could be a long night.
There was one last. Tyler Soy.
So is it?
Sinead went straight there with Taylor Soy. It was the Tyler Soy, but you got there, Sinead.
One from back in the day. Once broke someone's jaw with one Q.
Oh, Ryan Kuwabara, of course.
There's somebody else. I just can't picture it right now.
Oh, well, we'll leave it for the comments for people who will do a bit of research.
Well, says you've seen
number 71s.
Is he in now? Is he skating? How does he look?
Yep. He came in last. I went down to pick him up on Thursday. So he skated on Friday. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the paperwork done in time from the ITC and what have you. All those red tape things from European hockey and what have you. Anyways, he should be good to go this weekend. But he does look like a really, really good skater for sure. I've seen him on the ice on Friday. Quiet lad. Hopefully he'll come out of his shell a wee bit in the next couple of weeks. But it's important that we had him. Galambos is getting closer, probably a couple of weeks away.
Okay, great.
And obviously, Mike Lee's out for a couple more weeks. So hopefully he's getting closer as well. But yeah, it's good to get a few fresh bodies in and hopefully get another couple back for the weekend, which would be great.
Absolutely good to have him in. We'll see when he gets in the lineup, and no doubt we'll have an opportunity to chat with him in the coming weeks. The Belfast Giants had 3 games in the Challenge Cup over the last 7 days, and 3 victories. It was 3-0 over the Clan, 5-3 over the Flyers, and 1-0 over the Dundee Stars. Let's get stuck in first of all with that game against the Clan, and we'll start by hearing from both coaches.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a tough battle. Obviously, the 2 weekends ago, we played them back-to-back, and they were very difficult. Obviously, specifically the first one in Glasgow was tough. Second one, obviously, the way it ended, we didn't love. So we knew it was going to be a tough battle tonight, and it was. I do credit the guys for sticking with it because we felt our first period was definitely our best, and to come out of that, only up 1, we were frustrated. But that's the time when your team can kind of start cheating for offense and get real frustrated, take some dumb penalties and things like that. Glasgow got a real pushback in the second period and put us under a little bit of pressure. But I did think we were doing some of the little things better this weekend and last weekend that we weren't doing a few weeks ago. Just stick battles in and around our net and to help Tom out. And anytime we did have some breakdowns, Tom was real good.
I would say that Belfast was much better than us tonight. I didn't think our top guys really separated, and I thought they did a great job containing a lot of our talent. I thought our goaltending was excellent. Lucas was fantastic tonight. But yeah, I thought on the whole, we pushed back in the second period. We had some good possession. But I just don't think we fought hard enough to get inside 5-on-5. They did a really good job boxing us out, and as you say, the penalty kill. Their penalty kill was excellent. Our power play didn't find a solution to get separation and do their job. But games like that happen, and you play a great team like Belfast, and when they played their best, and we were maybe just not quite as good. They're going to win.
Belfast Giants goals came, 2 of them for P.O. Moran, 1 on the power play, and then there was also an empty net goal from JJ Picknich, and in goals for the Belfast Giants was Tom McCullum. The night opened with a moment of respect for Adam Johnson, and when the games got underway, Davy, the Giants came out of the traps quickly, actually put a lot of pressure on the Clan. Yes, they didn't get the goal until the second period, but the pressure was on from the off.
I think the 3 games, I know we're not going to take them as a 3, but all 3 games I thought started very well, and should have been, in a more comprehensive position come the end of the first, second period. But just what the coaches have pretty much said what needed to be said there for Wednesday night's game. Game of 3 halves, if you like. The Giants dominated the first 20 minutes. Clan with a big pushback, as they said, and then in the third period, I thought we played really well. We came under pressure in the penalty kill, just kept them on the outside. Tom came up with some massive saves in the game to keep us in them as well. Really strong goaltending, strong defense. And when they took the chances, it took right to it was in the last 10 minutes anyway before we got those final 2 goals. But a really well taken third by P.O. Marin after a lovely feed from, I think it was Mark Cooper behind the net. Am I right?
Yep. It was, yeah.
From memory. And the scoreline is a lot wider than maybe what it was on the night, but I thought we did more than enough to win the game for sure.
Says two from PO, both as Davey says, that second one coming on a feed. Sort of when I guess a lot of people, it was strange that the commentators also went, remember that the Clan came back in this time, and we went on to score. But it was good to see the Giants even were playing that 60-minute game.
Yeah, I mean, Adam's been saying that a few weeks now, and defensively, I thought we played really, really well on last Wednesday night. We've obviously been short benched with guys being out of the lineup, and obviously, Mike Lee's arguably been the best defenseman this year.
Yeah.
Points wise, yeah, Rochi's been playing well, and Gabe Bast has played a different role this year, and expected just to eat a lot of ice time as well. McCollum was outstanding on Wednesday night, absolutely outstanding. And we talked about this last week when he just doesn't seem to be out of position, and sort of just contains everything very, very well. Doesn't flap. And I thought he was really, really good. We scored the first goal at a really important time. I can't remember exactly what it was, maybe 30 or 40 seconds before the end of the second period. And you get that getting a bit of life, getting into the end of the period, and Tom again coming up with a number of really good saves in the third. The Clan have some really top talent this year. They always come up with 1 or 2 players, but this year they've got quite a few that can certainly, they know where the net is, and they play very well. But make no mistake about it, their best player on the ice last week was Lucas Breen. He was absolutely brilliant in the first, probably the first 2 periods. Obviously conceding that power play goal just at the end of the second was probably a bit disappointing for him. But this play here again, get to make it 2-0 for Kawaguchi. The kid's just absolutely brilliant. He's just classy, and that's it. That looks like an easy pass coming across there, but it's just done at the right time when the defenseman sort of commits himself with a stick and lurching forward, and Pick just slots it home to make it 2, and it gets an insurance marker. I thought we were really good. Bottom line, totally deserved to win. Getting our 2 points against the Clan, and then look forward to the weekend, because that first one last Wednesday night in front of another unbelievable crowd for a Wednesday night was absolutely fantastic.
Mitch Hurd kicked out of the game, Davey. It's the second time at the SSC, second time in a row at the SSC arena. After a bit of a just to come together with Bobo Carpenter, wasn't it?
Wasn't Bobo.
No, you've got Bobo. Bobo wasn't playing.
All right, I wasn't confused with somebody else. Who was it with? Was it Bo Hansen?
I
can't remember.
Can't
it's a week ago. It's a week ago. There's not much hockey's played in between, but yes, he was a bit of a tool.
It seems to be a bit of a thing that he's now being kicked out, and a bit of a villain at the SSC arena, Davey.
Apparently so. So you say?
I'm pretty sure he was actually the week we played them over there as well. He was thrown out.
Was he? Was this like the third game in a row?
I think it's 3 games we played against him. He's been thrown out 3 times.
Well, I think it was Bo. I'm being corrected in the chat that it was Bo Hansen. So
discipline, yeah. Well done. Thanks very much.
Clan are having a bit of a time of it. Like, obviously they have qualified for the elimination game as part of this new Challenge Cup setup. In the league, they're only 1 win from 9 games. What's going wrong there, Davey?
It's a lot of teams are struggling for that early season consistency. And I don't think the jumping about between cup games and league games helps. I think there's definitely a different intensity with the two types of games, and no matter, prove me wrong, of course, but I just think that the players have a slightly different mindset when it comes to these league and cup games, and they're, maybe they're more focused on trying to get through that cup because there's more at stake for them, and they just haven't been, going as much with the league yet. I don't know, it's for Corey to work out.
That's it. I think Corey Nielsen obviously has come in with a reputation in this league and wanting to actually change things in the Clan, because the resources there for them to do it, the resources there for them, and the players. Are the players there, says, for the Clan to sort of turn us around?
Absolutely, they're there. I mean, they're like, Davy might be right. It could be just guys. Maybe they find that they just can't get their head around the cup competition. I actually had this conversation with Carl on the way back up on Thursday from Dublin, and he was saying, "What's the Challenge Cup?" And I was trying to explain to him, and he's French Canadian, but his English is excellent. But I don't think it registered. And then when he was up, he was sitting in the suite at the weekend there, and I think I got through to him and explained to him exactly which way it works. But it's some guys. Again, it even takes a bit of a while for players coming in for the first time to realize that the league is 54 games long, and every single one of them is important from the start of or end of September, whenever you play your first one, right the whole way through the end of April. So, look, the bottom line is you want to win every game. And luckily enough, we're winning more than we're losing, and long may that continue.
The game, the highlights, of course, are from our friends at Belfast Giants TV. We move on to Saturday and another Challenge Cup game, this time against the Fife Flyers, a 5-3 win for the Belfast Giants. Let's hear from both coaches.
I wouldn't say they took it to us. I mean, they had the lead. I thought we started the game fantastically. Didn't get rewarded for it. We weren't crisp in terms of our finish or our execution, but we were good. Then they get one against the grain, and then they get another one, and then I thought from there we were a little bit kind of running gun and squirrely, and forced some plays and turned some pucks over, and that fed into their offense. That being said, we had plenty of looks to be leading ourselves after one and after two. Credit to the guys for battling back through period two. And then I thought period three, we were great. Some big power play goals to give us that to tie it up and then to give us the lead. So I thought that, all in all, it was a pretty good game. I thought after two periods, we had done enough to be winning. We hadn't done enough to make sure we were winning. And then in the third period, I thought the guys were great. So, I mean, you get out of that game with a win.
Well, I'm pleased with never pleased that you don't get 2 points, but there are other things that have to be considered, and I was pleased with our effort. I was pleased that we had a lead. I was pleased, we went into the third period 2-2 against a good hockey team, and a team that is definitely battling for the championship. And we battled with Sheffield on Wednesday on the road, and came here today on the road. 2-2 going in the third period in both buildings against arguably the two best teams in our league. So that's something that we can build on. And, especially with the depleted lineup, I don't know that we had. I mean, we have three of our, I only had 7 forwards out there. Everybody else was a defenseman. So, and then we had to move guys up front. But that's, the way the league rules are structured now, that, you're basically, even Belfast, they only had 9 forwards tonight. So it's really challenging when you play on the road with only 9 forwards.
Scores for the Belfast Giants were JJ Piganich, Gabe Bast, Mark Cooper, Scott Conway, and Elijah Barriga. The scores for the Fife Flyers were Martineau with 2 of them, 1 on the power play, and James Spence with the other one. And goal for the Belfast Giants was Jackson Whistle. And we said it says, and I'll warn you, your mic's muted before you come in, but you said it that despite the fact we heard it there from Adam Keefe, that despite the fact that they went into a 2-0 lead, the Giants had come out, as we said in the first game, had come out of the traps really quickly.
Yeah, and again, I mean, their goalie played really well in the first period. I'm going to be honest. I thought we looked really good in the first period, but I thought we probably looked a wee bit overconfident. I think maybe a couple of guys thought they just had their turn up because, as Tom Coolan said, that a young roster. There are only 6 or 7 forwards. They had a couple of kids in their third line, what have you, and we did look like sort of just have to turn up. That wasn't the case. Fife got a 2-goal lead and put us behind the black ball for a bit. And at the end of the day, you can't have the attitude that you need to basically focus every single game, every single period. And luckily, we managed to get the first goal for us just after the halfway of the game. And then score again. We talk about scoring important goals at important times. We scored at the end of the second period again. I can't remember what time. I think it was 20 seconds, maybe even less, left on the end of the second period to get the go-ahead goal. And that sort of gave us that little bit of confidence getting into the third. When I thought the third, we were really, really good.
They said it took the second period, Davy, before the Giants found their way back in. But then, like you say, as Sis says, the Giants grew in confidence through this game and they just took more and more control.
I'm not sure if we grew in confidence or we got back to basics. I think we pretty much camped in their ozone for the first 5 minutes of the game. I honestly thought this was going to be a massacre, and I think maybe there's an element of so did the rest of the team. And we took our foot off the gas a wee bit, and we'll let them back into it, a couple of goals behind. And then from there, you're having to fight your way back in the game, one shift at a time. I had a mate from over here in Bristol go into his first game, and he went, I've picked a great game here. 2-0 down. I said, don't worry, mate. We're going to be fine here. And once we get 1 goal behind them, we'll be okay. And so it worked out. We got that first goal. JJ Pickens coming up with it. I thought Scott Conway had a great game on the night as well. A lot of things that we do good at the minute are coming through Scott and JJ. And once we got a little bit of momentum back into the game, there was only going to be one winner. And, I think we ran out comfortable enough winners in the end.
It seemed like the 2 goals that came from the Fife Flyers were quite scrappy, and I think that was more or less it. Whereas our team says when it comes to 5-on-5, the fluency of our play sort of paid out.
Yeah, they got to win that too easy. Again, they're coming over the blue line. We just didn't take care of business and let them get in. There's the first one there. I mean, he's in behind our defense. He's not moving that fast, but we just didn't do a good enough job in the first period. We took a lot of chances, as we do, because that's the type of team we are. But when we move forward at speed, Davy's just touched on it there. Cons is really starting to find his stride, and we know how good this kid is, and we know what his competitive level is, his complete level, sorry. But when he gets going, he's tough to beat, and I know we've got him coming on here shortly, but I just thought again Saturday night against Fife, I think he had 1 and 3, and he had 4 points a week before in a home game as well. But I see a few comments coming through there about the Fife being a backup goalie. He might be a backup to Shane Owen, but he's an import goalie. So he's played a lot of, he's only 24, 25, but he's played a lot of hockey.
He's played KHL.
Yeah, he's played a lot of hockey, and he's played in the World Championships for Latvia under 20s and what have you as well. So, he's a decent enough goalie, but we made him look like a world beater in the first period because we just couldn't put the puck past him. But again, finding a way to get it done. Most important thing is picking the 2 points up. We got that 2-1 lead, managed to basically extend it, and then at the end of the day, we just basically closed the game off. And I thought Adam and the coaching staff did a great job managing the time of the boys on the ice as well, because 3 games at 5 days, even traveling all at home, it's tough, especially when you're short-handed. There's a lot of guys out of the lineup, and obviously you just want to keep it going. But I thought Saturday night the games didn't start, didn't put the puck in that early, but totally deserved the win, and obviously picking up another 2 points in the Challenge Cup pursuit.
The other flashpoint of this game, Davy, I'm going to bring up is the fact that Ben Lake was assessed a 5+ game for boarding. Subsequently, the Department of Player Safety, and this won't be the last time they're mentioned in this pod, gave him a 1-game suspension. What were your thoughts on that? It was a 5-2 with about 5 minutes left in the game, and Ben Lake does this.
You and me are going to have a disagreement on this, Paddy.
I think we are.
Because I think I'm going to pause there before the hit.
You didn't pause it. You took yourself out. You just took yourself out of the pod. Took yourself out of the pod there, mate.
Still here, mate. Still here. I'm so disgusted by your question. We've had situations in the last number of weeks, and I'm not going to try and be tail-specked here. He does board him. It's one of those. At 5-2 with 5 minutes to go, I understand that we're trying to play the 60-minute game. We maybe need to be. We conceded a couple of goals. Was it Glasgow the other week? Came back with 2 really late goals. You've got to keep the foot down the whole way through the 60 minutes. I get that. Lakers should maybe bail out of this. But when if I can go back, like, how far? Like, if we go here, use a poker term, like at this stage, Lakers pot committed. He has to make this play. Martineau has stood for around a second there, square on, shoulder to shoulder, hasn't tried to move the puck. He's fannied about with it a wee bit. And as Laker comes in, he turns his numbers towards the board. Now, Laker has a responsibility maybe to not make this hit, but Martineau also has a responsibility not to put himself in such a vulnerable position. You watch what he does here with his numbers, Paddy, as this super slow-mo goes ahead.
But then we come back. Okay.
No, let it play through. He puts himself in a vulnerable position. So there's responsibility on the person making the hit. Absolutely. We had Osterberg the other week, got himself in a vulnerable position. Tetlow hit him. No suspension, obviously, from Dops on that one. Not even a comment from Dops that I saw. We had Joe Cassetti the other week going in, put himself in a bit of a vulnerable, not required position as he ended up injured. Martineau here. He's looking at Lake coming. He's square onto him. He's standing still. He's not moving his feet. And at the very last minute, he swings that to go forehand to knock a puck backhand along the Harry Corey sign there. And I just think Lakers already committed. At this stage, hard to pull out. Maybe he should, but his feet his right foot never leaves the ice. Still on the ice. Still on the ice.
Okay, so hold on. So let me come back to it. Where does Laker knows how far Martineau is from the board, so he knows that the hit's not going to be clean against the boards. Where does he think Martineau's going to go with this? He turns. Also, we take into account the fact that you look at what happened there the other week in the Cardiff games with Mac Williams, where it didn't really matter that the head was ducked. There was still contact there. The onus surely is on Lake here. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to carry. I love Ben Lake. I think I love the physicality he brings to the game. I love everything about him. I think he's in the wrong here, and I think the suspension was warranted.
I'll let Simon come in on it. I would say if you're going to levy a percentage, there's a bigger percentage on Ben Lake here not to make a dangerous hit in that situation. Yes.
And a 5-2 with 5 minutes left to go?
No, I'm not so concerned about the 5-2 and how long to go, because we got bit the other week by Glasgow when we didn't play till the very last minute. We conceded 2 goals and we've gone to overtime. So you've got to play. He's probably got to slow up a lot more there and just take Martineau into the boards rather than put him through the boards. And you take your medicine. Ben's already taken his suspension. We've played the game without him. It's not a great hit. It's not a great look, but I think there's an element that there's a percentage of Martineau there as a responsibility to himself as much as the game to not put himself in that position.
Says that I don't know if you're a fan of Ben Lake or not, but what are your thoughts on this?
I'd have had him harder.
I knew that was coming.
The bottom line is I'm going to do it arse about face here. It's a bad penalty to take. 5-2 game, 5 minutes to go. Laker doesn't need to follow through with a hit. However, Martineau's no angel. There was probably a little bit earlier on in the game itself He knows exactly what he's doing there. I mean, again, he had plenty of time to move the puck. He had plenty of time to get out of the position that he was there. Lakers just playing Lakers game. Sometimes that you cross that line a little bit, and you go over and end up taking a major penalty for the game. I get that, but you know what? I don't really mind it, to be honest. Obviously, thankfully, it didn't come back to bite us for the next night when we won the game. I'd have been a wee bit more pissed off if we'd have lost the game the next night, because Laker's an important player on our team. But again, look at that. That's a good hit. Just get stuck in.
One game suspension for Ben Lake. He served it in the game against the Dundee Stars. Let's quickly have a look into this Dundee Stars game, because we have Scott Conway waiting in the wings to join us. Maybe we'll add him in and have a bit of a chat with him on it. But the game against the Dundee Stars was a 1-0 win for the Belfast Giants. Let's start with the voices of the coaches.
Yeah, I thought we were great. Obviously, we didn't get rewarded for that, and that can be frustrating, I think. But we kept going. I thought defensively we were good. And anytime we did have a breakdown, Tom was solid for us, so that allowed us to get that last one. I thought Longer was great all night, one of our better players, and I thought that he deserved that, so it was nice to see him get rewarded for that. I thought young Mac had a great game and obviously played some very important minutes for us, especially losing Laker. He stepped right in there and filled that hole for us, allowed us to play 6D, and obviously in our third game of the week, we were real concerned against a faster Dundee team that we'd have some trouble, and I thought the guys managed their speed well and managed the game well. I mean, it is as complete a performance as I've seen from us, specifically when we're short bench and tired.
Well, I thought for the first 40 minutes we hung on for dear life, to be honest. But our goalie kept us in it, made some great saves, kept us going. 0-0 on the road going in the third period. It's a pretty good sign for things. But we only gave one goal tonight off a bad turnover in the third period, unfortunately. But those are the way things go sometimes. But a lot of positives out tonight. Obviously, only giving up the one goal. We had plenty of chances ourselves, especially in the third period there. But luckily, it was a cup game, so no points in the standings here, in the league standings anyways. But, we showed we could play with these guys. They're an excellent hockey team. They come in waves after you. Plenty of offense there. But we showed some good character, blocking some shots, clearing the rebounds most of the time there. But, unfortunately, we didn't get that one bounce there to tie up the game. But I can't fault the effort from our guys tonight.
The only goal in this game came from Kieran Long, and it was Tom McCullum in nets for the Belfast Giants. 3 games in a week. At times, this game I thought was a bit low energy, Davy.
I might disagree with that a little bit. I thought we were great through 40 at least. And then when we got the go-ahead goal from Longer, I think it's just maybe a minute after that, Tom McCullum comes up with a massive 1-on-none save to keep it at 1-0. And as you say, third game in 5 nights was it?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one either. I think that should have been a goal. But
I thought that should have been a goal too.
Right, you know what? Hold on. Scott Conway, should that have been a goal?
You're asking the wrong man there.
I think it should have been. Didn't it happen a few weeks ago with I think it was like a game in Manchester, and they went over the rule that if there's a puck going towards the net and the net gets knocked off, it still counts, right?
Correct.
It's still part of the same play. Net gets pushed off because I get pushed into one of their players, and their player pushed the net off. I still think it's a good goal.
Welcome back to View from the Bridge. Did you get an explanation then? Do you get an explanation there from the referees as to why it's not counted, or you just get?
He's not allowed to speak to the referees.
Comment about refs.
He may not be allowed to speak to him, but he can certainly, surely he's got an input.
Yeah, I wish I could have a voice on all this, but I've been kind of limited to what I can say these days, which is unfortunate, I guess.
I'll do the dirty work then here. I think the refs have said that Scott has pushed the player into the net rather than someone's actually pushed Scott into a player in the net. I think the domino effect's been created by the Dundee Stars rather than by ourselves here.
Correct. See, you pushed me, and then I had to, yeah.
So. And for me, if the puck goes between where the net would be before it's pushed off under the rules, it's a goal. So I'm disappointed to see that chalked off at the time. But I thought over the piece, we were more than strong enough to win that game. I thought over the first 40 minutes we were great. Yes, everybody got a wee bit leggy towards the last period, but we'll have to see it out. Is this the same game that had the goal chalked off by Eli as well?
This is the
same game.
So 2 goals chalked off the same night, and so 1-0 makes it look like a very, very tight game, and it was. But I think second shutout in a row for Tom McCollum, great in between the nets. And I think we did enough to take all 2 points.
High sticking was called sorry, the goal was ruled out for high sticking from Elijah Bariga, which it was a bit strange. Says it looked okay.
I didn't think it was a high stick. I mean, you're up against Andy Dalton, who never makes a mistake ever in the entire life of hockey, and he won't accept that he's wrong in that. And even when you watch the replay of it, it's not above the crossbar. It's a goal, but it's a bad one to give up again. You're 2-0 up at that point if you basically get those 2 goals. And but the big thing about for me that Sunday game, the third game in 5 days, short benched. Guys did 10 minutes that it's a tough thing to do. 3 games in 5 days, and to keep the consistency there. That's definitely a goal. Nothing wrong with that at all. But
to get in with a comment there.
It's close. I don't know. One of the refs said it was a goal, and then the other one said it wasn't. So I don't know what the official ruling was on the ice, and I don't know if they can review that.
That's the thing.
I don't know the ruling
on the ice. The official ruling on the ice was a goal.
Right, but there was one ref that said it was a goal, and I think Dalt said it wasn't a goal. Now they have to talk about that, I think, and I guess that's why they had to review it. But that's close. That's a close call.
The guy closest to the goal, which was Vitas, he called it a goal.
Yeah, well, that should have been the
referee's 100 yards away, 100 feet away.
Yeah.
Like we can sit and talk about this all night. The bottom line is, I thought we were brilliant on Sunday night. I thought we played really, really well defensively. We were gamers short benched, and Basti playing a ton of minutes, Hansen playing a ton of minutes, Roche as well, Bomber. I thought we were excellent. Our Kieran Long stood up and played really well. But obviously the Dundee Stars are a good team this year. But to come out with that 1-0 win, 6 points in 3 games, I thought the boys deserved everything they got this week, and I thought they were outstanding.
Scott, one of the things from this game was Mac getting 2+2 for roughing.
Yeah, I mean, I bought him a beer after the game. Bless the little guy standing up for me. Appreciate everything he does and did for me there. I mean, the guy wasn't a tough guy by any means. I know who he is, Cameron Keeley, and played with him in Allen for a little bit. But yeah, he stuck up for me, which I'm proud of him for doing. And if he wants a spot, I mean, he's got to get a little gritty at times, right? So every time he's coming out on the ice, he's trying to fight for that spot. He's trying to fight for those extra couple minutes of ice he can get. So he did a great game, especially since we were short bench, like you guys talked about earlier. So happy for him.
You have a few of the two-way guys coming in. Mason obviously played midweek against did he play against Glasgow? Is that right?
Yeah, I think Glasgow
as well. So a lot of these young two-way lads have been coming in. They've been doing well as well when they've been coming in.
Yeah, I mean we're just short bench right now, right? And it's we're a deep lineup when we're on the lineup, but when we're depleted a little bit, we need those guys to step in for us, and we rely on them when they're out there as much as I rely on anyone else. So we have to get the job done nonetheless.
Absolutely. Let me just wrap up here with the Dundee game. Just to say that all the highlights are on Giants TV. Giants have 2 games remaining in the Cup, away to the Clan, at home to the Flyers. I think 3 points from those 2 games would secure top seed, with Sheffield losing to Cardiff just the other day. Big thanks to our friends at Giants TV for all of that. Mr. Scott Conway, let's talk about you. First of all, your reflection on the weekend and the 3 wins from 3 and sort of in pole position in this Challenge Cup group.
Yeah, I mean we're in a perfect spot now after Cardiff losing. We knew they had to slip up, and all we could do was just keep winning. So after winning these games this weekend or this past week, we're in a good spot right now. So the ball's in our court, and we can dictate what we need to do. So this next couple of weeks are going to be fun.
Let's talk about you. You've come back to Belfast. What brought you back?
Everything, man. You guys especially.
Yes, mate, I'm sure it was. Absolutely. Thanks for that. But the opportunity came, but obviously you had the season with Trenton last year in Slovakia. How was that?
It was an experience. I could talk for days about that place.
Really?
I mean, start maybe only I'd say a third of the Slovaks know to speak like English, so I could have a conversation with. So it's basically you and just the imports, right? So that was tough. Girl being over there with me too, Greta. I mean, there wasn't any girls for her, so she was struggling a little bit at times. But yeah, I mean, as far as that part, it was tough going to the grocery stores. You couldn't ask them for a jug of milk or something like that. They don't understand you, so they're just kind of shun you and just look the other way, kind of thing. So, I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect, I think, a little bit. But it was just being put into that environment was a little different. We weren't a great hockey team. I mean, we're okay. I think if we had a decent coach, I think we could have been a little better. But yeah, so basically that. It was fun. We had a lot of downtime, so we got to explore a lot of things too, which is a big positive going over somewhere like that. Here we don't get that many days off, so if it is, it's just be like a one day or so. Yeah, happy to be back. Happy to be winning again, and things are going in the right direction for us right now.
So, one of the things you disliked the most about Slovakia was the lack of English speaking, and you came back to Belfast.
Well, it was, and it's the demeanor, how people portray themselves too, right? Like you're walking down the street in Belfast, people at least say hi to you or smile. Like over there, they'll kind of give you a finger almost, like that's what it's kind of like. Oh yeah. I learned a few swear words, and
so you're unlikely to be working for the Slovak, tourist board anytime soon. But we're glad to have you back, and we often talk about your compete level, Cons, on everything. Simon talks about whether it be the ping pong table, the dartboard, whatever. Did you grow up in a family atmosphere where that was drilled in? That everything was competitive from a kid.
My dad never let me win in anything, so I had once I earned that, he wasn't getting that back, and so I just kind of moved on from that and kids. When I was playing hockey and stuff, I just had to be the best. And we kind of just gave that to me, and yeah, it just stuck with me ever since. And yeah, I guess it's not a bad trait to have, but it's also not sometimes a good trait.
I don't know about that. I see that as like in a Roy King kind of thing, that leadership from a different way. You don't have to be standing, shouting and roaring, although we do a little bit of that as well. But just that, follow me, lads. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to win. Come with me.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's about, right? Like you need a bunch of those guys in your team in order to win. So, I mean, all might not just show the same qualities as I will, but there's definitely, you need a few people like that on your team to have success.
Cons, big fan. First of all,
Ben Lake.
Oh, of course, absolutely. You're a fan of Ben Lake as well, so
of course I am.
I'm just enjoying the halo above you there, just the way you're getting on, just in the wee light above your head there. It looks well. But obviously, we talk about. I know how hard Adam and Steve were pushing you to, even last season, during the season, to get you back to Belfast again. And I know what you said. Obviously, it's difficult sometimes. The translation and they're not speaking the language and what have you, but the experience in Slovakia, I mean, in all fairness, you're a point a game player in a Slovakian league, and you weren't fit the whole time as well. That's something to be very proud of.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't, like I said earlier, we weren't a very good team. We weren't very well coached. I was on the second BP unit and barely saw much of that. Saw 15 minutes a night on ice time. And was injured for a lot of the time. So if I was to have a decent amount of the ice time like most of the players did on other teams, I think I'd be a top 5 for sure. Yeah, so I was kind of disappointed on that side of things, and obviously getting injured at the end of the year didn't help. So I would have probably been looking to go to somewhere like Czech after the year that I kind of had there, but things didn't work out, and back to Belfast I am.
I know you're enjoying it, so pipe down. The second part of what I was going to ask you was, when you're looking at coming back to Belfast, the year before, you had so much success, not just personally, but team success. We won everything going. What's the difference in the locker room this year to what it was in 22-23?
Great question. I would say we are deeper this year as far as talent level on the ice, but we're also injured a lot more, right? So that plays a big role. I think the camaraderie in the locker room might be different. There might be a few more jokers back then than there is now. A lot more serious players, and I mean that's a good thing to have, right? Everyone's fighting for a lineup spot, like you said, and if it is, it's what line you're jostling with. Are you going to be playing on the power play? Like you guys went over it earlier with Ben Lake finishing that hit. Like he's one of those guys right now that's kind of flirting with that's one of those spots, right? So he has to do everything in his power to make sure that he's sticking to what he can do on the power play. So.
It's sorry, I was reading something there. So look at you back to Sheffield this weekend, mate. The last time we were in there, I was in the crowd, and you were very welcome. You were very welcome when you came in. Do you thrive off that sort of welcome?
I love it. I love it. I get more of a laugh and excited about that more, I think, than being in our building, you know, sometimes I actually do. It's because, you know, you're under everyone's skin, you know, no one likes you in that building because if you're a decent player and you get under everyone's skin and all this stuff. So, yeah, I thrive in that situation. So whenever they boo, it just gets me going even more. So they're just doing me a favor and Belfast a favor for doing that, you know. So after the national anthem there, Dalt comes over to me and he goes, I've never met someone that hate a crowd that hates someone else more than they do me. and I got a little chuckle from that. I go, yeah, in Sheffield, I think they hate me more than you, bud.
it was very, from my point of view, it was very entertaining because it was just like they were announcing that. It must have been like the names of it, and it was a huge boo went all the way around Sheffield Arena. It was just proper chuckle. I give a round of applause at that. Just on the point of coming back in and coming back into the side, you know, familiar faces in the locker room coming back into that, and you know, Sis does ask about, you know, the difference in the sort of the approach, but how much easier you to come from, let's say, an unfamiliar team in what you had in Trenton and Slovakia to come back into the sort of familiarity of the Belfast Giants locker room. So what sort of confidence does that give you going into a locker room like that?
It's like I was never left, to be honest. You have the same systems that I played with the last 2 years, so that on ice, that's not a big deal. You just got to find a little bit of chemistry with a couple of the guys again, which I think we're doing that recently. As far as personnel in the locker room, yeah, it's great. It feels like home. I feel like I can be myself around guys, whereas before you kind of don't want to step on someone's toes. Here it's like, they know me, you know, so I can just be myself.
Scott, you've got a big role with the likes of the new guy, Carl, coming in to sort of integrate him. He's coming into a new city. He's coming into a new locker room sort of a couple of months into the season. Is that you guys put your arm around him here and show him the ropes?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we're a pretty friendly group and we're pretty inclusive. So I don't think he'll take long to get adjusted to our systems and acclimated to the locker room.
Who stood out for you this year in our locker room, talent-wise?
I think out of the new guys that we got, I think Kawaguchi would be my number one. He just even in college, I played against him growing up. I actually took his spot in school. Ended up decoing from Providence and going to North Dakota, which good on him for that. And then he signed an NHL deal from there. So he was laughing at me after that. But yeah, I think Gooch is a great player. He reads the ice very well, makes great plays every time he's on the puck. So as far as forwards, I would say Gooch. Barriga, big standout for me too. He works hard. He isn't afraid to compete, and he's in there no matter what. He makes great plays. The back end, I mean, most of them are returners, right? Who is there that's new? We got Bo
Johansson, yeah.
Bo, which is a hard worker. We had to do an off ice testing again today, and no one's beating him in anything. So he's a freak when it comes to the gym.
This weekend you're getting into a fabulous rink in Manchester, and you've got to go to Sheffield again. You know, we always look at next up mentality. Manchester's the next one. I know we've got Carl coming into the lineup. Hopefully, get a couple more bodies back because you mentioned it earlier on, and we do have a deep squad. I think, if we can get fit, then we've got a real chance this year. I totally agree with what you said regarding ability and talent this year for what we have in the locker room. I think if we can get fit, we've got a real chance.
Yeah, we've already had this weekend before, right? We had it a few weeks ago, so we kind of know what to expect. Minus one guy that's coming in, the new guy, but so we know what to expect. We know that Manchester's not going to be a cake in the park, So we need to show up for that game, that's for sure. And Sheffield, that's all business when it comes there. We just got to compete and find a way to win there.
Let's before we sort of wrap things up, there's been a lot of stuff coming in from people who are watching in live. We'll take a couple of them. Let's see. We got one from Joel Stevenson, hoping for another bowling sally at the end of the season. One that I'm sure the ones in Sheffield will be delighted to see. But and on that, June Hamilton says, "Do you enjoy being a wind-up merchant?"
Yeah, I love every second of it. Every second, because I know there's two sides to it. The side that I'm on, I'm laughing about it, but the other side, they're hating, and it just gets me going. So
brilliant. One more thing, we got the Friendship Four coming in a few weeks' time, a tournament well. It's great that we have this, and give us a bit of an insight as to what that's like.
Yeah, I mean, as far as playing for a college or university and coming over here, you don't get that experience very often to play outside of the U.S. and especially a decent spot like Belfast, right? So I think they're a lucky group of guys, and I think they're all very excited to come over and experience everything. When we came on it, we did a few tours, so did a little bit of Dublin, a little bit up here too. So they kind of make a trip out of it, or at least we did. And it's just good to showcase your ability overseas, right? Like it's kind of hard for people like Belfast or other teams that are trying to recruit players in college to actually see guys until you see them on the ice. So it's a great recruiting tool for Belfast, and I'm sure they're gonna keep this going for as long as they can.
I suppose it did influence you in that with your decision to come this way.
I mean, yeah. I think Balmer was there too with me. I think we have a few guys from that. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's coming in a few weeks. What I'm going to do is one more thing, and we do this all the time when we get guys, especially at this time. It's the Player of the Month Award, sponsored by Phone a Cab for Reviews the Bridge for the October. We asked everybody to give their nominations, and from those nominations, we have this 4 up for the public vote. Number 10, Scott Conway.
Who's that good-looking dude?
number 12, JJ Piganich.
That's a nice beard.
Number 33, Tom McCullum.
That's a nicer beard.
And number 77, it's Josh Roach. These 4 will go up for the public vote from Wednesday all the way until Saturday or Sunday. You get that at AVFTB on X. I'm going to come to you, Cons, in a minute, but I'm going to start with
Paddy.
Me? All right.
Yeah, you start for a change.
Tom McCullum. I think he's been absolutely fantastic through the month of October. I think we've had the tandem with him and Jackson. I think Jackson's done excellently, but you just look okay. The second game wasn't in October, but you look at the shutouts he had and what he's given us at the back. My vote would go for My vote would go for Tom McCullum. Davey, who's your vote for?
Number 77, Josh Roach for me this month. +9 over the month. Minutes like 24, 25, 26 minutes some nights, working his socks off there, and some big penalty kills. Roachy for me.
Says we're just all in front of one of the nominees, Scott Conway. Says your vote.
Scott Conway, 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points. He has come into the, he's had a few injuries. He'll probably tell you himself, but he's had a few injuries already this season. He's only starting to get going, and 13 points throughout the month was outstanding. And, again, playing a lot of minutes when we've been shorthanded as well. So for me, it's Scott Conway.
Scott Conway, who are you voting for?
He's voting for himself.
I was
going to ask him to put forward a case for voting for him, but who are you voting for?
No, I think I'm going to go with Roachy this week. This month, sorry. The guy's just a machine. I don't think he gets recognized enough. He eats a lot of minutes. He eats a lot of pucks. He fight through his injuries. This guy is a machine, and I would hate to play against this guy. So yeah, I'm going with Rochi this month.
The View from the Bridge Player of the Month award for October. The voting opens on X on Wednesday morning. Get your votes in between those four. Mr. Conway, thank you very much for your time. Good luck this weekend.
No problem, guys. Thank you.
Big thanks to Cons.
Thanks, Scott.
Bye.
Big thanks. Bless you, Simon. Bless you.
Sorry, mate.
Big thanks to Scott Conway for joining us. Always good fun to have him on. Right, bit of a turn. We've been trailing this for a few weeks, and we'll have a bit of a chat. We're going to ask you. We're going to take a topic and ask you your thoughts and debate it amongst ourselves. This week, as we've been doing, we have asked the question: can or should the game reintroduce the role of the enforcer? And if not, why not? A player dedicated to police the game. The out-and-out enforcer role is more or less vanished, replaced by the old cliche of, quote, team toughness. But has that changed our game for the better or for the worse? And should we bring it back? Davey, over the last number of years, since we've talked about the Paxton Schultes of this world and that sort of, but we've had the likes of Paul Cruz, we've had the likes of Sean McMorrow, we've had the likes of Jason Russian, we've had, Sean Skihar, who else?
Rocco?
Malcolm, what's his
name?
McMillan. We've had Rocco for the idea of I'm looking at the case of this week in the Elite League. We had 11 ejections from games right across the league based on various things, such as we talked about the boarding call earlier on. We'll talk about the Cole Shooter incident. We'll talk about this. Is there an element now that with the enforcer not being in the game, that these sort of things happen, that we get these more niggly plays, we get these more cross checks, we get these more behind the thing boardings, that players aren't looking over their shoulder for that role player anymore?
Possibly. And I think one of the biggest factor in it, that maybe we haven't spoke about, is the instigator rule. That people aren't prepared to take a 2+5+10, possibly plus a suspension we had one last season. I'm going to say in Nottingham, Charlie Curry maybe comes from a little bit of distance to the back of one of his teammates and ends up 2+5+10 plus possibly game as well. So the instigator rule definitely makes people think once, twice, three times before they get involved. Obviously, the statistics that you've just read out there, 11 ejections over the weekend, would stack up that more dirty plays are going unanswered because there wasn't 11 fights to go along with those 11 incidents. I know that we've had enough. We've had our goalies ran a number of times ourselves this season, and nothing too much has happened. The game has changed for
the better.
Whether the game is, it's definitely changed. Obviously, I come from an era, but that's just to keep Neil Coach Russell happy, where I used to get off the Mission Hall bus on the way home from the Oval and watch your man down there knocking the bag out of people just for. As it was a part of it wasn't even part of the game, it was just part of his game. Where didn't need to necessarily be. They used to talk about changing momentum. They used to talk about, lighting a fire under. Sis just did it because he enjoyed people, really. But
plus I got a bonus from Alan Green Sports.
There you go. He must have. But no, to be less facetious about it, it's definitely, the likes of Paxton and stuff would have said, the enforcer, if you like, the pure out and out tough guy, took away the dirty stick plays, the clutching and grabbing that used to go on. It's just the last real major one I can remember. Tony Hand, Carlisle Lewis, Ed Courtney.
Oh, who was at Manchester at that point?
Was it Coutlier?
Yes, it was Coutlier.
Where you had you had our good guy. We're taking your good guy out, and then the two tough guys fight each other. And then everything calms down. There's no more dirty play. Over here, tough guys started to come to this country. The likes of Blair Riley, who came with a real reputation and realized, here, I can get 25, 30 goals in this league. park their sort of, I'm going to fight every night for, I'll fight when I need to, or I'll fight when I absolutely have to, because I can add something more to the team. And the one-dimensional player, when you've only got 14 imports, I don't think that teams can carry that one-dimensional player evermore. Have to have more strings to your bow. And then you can't be sitting watching. You cannot be suspended because you've gone and done something stupid. It's taken out of the game. And that's before we even get to the Victoria Silverwood. Let's talk about concussions and CTEs and the damage that can be caused by repeated fights.
It's interesting, says that this sort of aspect of the game, and we've been around this game for a while, and we remember these players coming in and these role players coming in, and maybe some of them scored, some of them didn't, some of them offered more, some of them didn't. But you look at like the likes of what do you call your fella at the New York Rangers at the minute, Rampy?
And actually get put down.
But he put down. He's sort of bouncing up and down, down to the AHL and then being brought back. There's an element that he is that sort of player, and that this sort of player might be creeping back into the game. You look at what some of the people are saying. We put this out on Twitter, and I'm looking at like Jordan Wilson saying it's coming back into the NHL. I see Chris Mooney saying an enforcer, yes, a goon, no. Team toughness is one thing, but do you need to have that one guy that, like I said earlier, people are looking over their shoulder at?
That's a difficult one. I mean, Jordan, I was just mentioning him. Jordan just mentioned there about the NHL again. I watch a lot of the NHL, and he's absolutely right. There seems to be more fighting majors this year already than what there has at the start of last season in the NHL, and I think it's the game's much faster now than what it was 15, 20 years ago. There's you listed off a whole a lot of guys there when we were talking about bringing this section in. I actually don't know if you mentioned Adam Keefe in it, but
yeah. But then I wouldn't consider Adam Keefe of that sort of ilk. I think Adam Keefe came in as we were sort of phasing that out, because Adam Keefe isn't I think that's a really good point, mate, and I think that's a sort of a distance between it, because yes, we had the Sean McMorrows who did very little other than just a fight it out. Jason Rushing, he did very little other than a bit of muscle. But Paxton Schulte scored goals.
That's literally where I was getting to. I mean, I think Kiefer's first 4 seasons, Davey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure Kiefer scored double figures in his first 4 seasons with us. And he was still over 100 and 100.
That's what I'm saying. We were phasing it out at that point.
Yeah, but again, I mean, if I reckon if Adam could find a player of that ilk who's going to score 15 goals a season and pick up 200 minutes in penalties, I think he'd sign him. But there's just not many players available like that anymore. Davey just touched on it there. 2 + 5 + 10. That rule's a load of balls. It should be gone. Did you see? I talked about this before, and we got into trouble with this with the BBC. Stephen Nolan show talked about it at one stage that this is all wrong. You can't be doing that. What a load of crap! Every time there's a fight on the ice, the first thing people are doing are standing up to get a better view. It gets bums off seats. I was in one of the suites at the weekend watching the game, and there was a little girl in the suite next to me. She must have been 7 or 8 against Dundee. There was a scuffle down in the far corner, and there was 2 little boys with her, and the 2 kids. One of them a bit of a scuffle for Dundee and Belfast. The 2 boys got their tops off and were practicing, basically as if they're punching each other. And the wee girl who was about 8 or 9 was going, fight. Love it. Injected into my veins. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. That's the type of thing kids, people, oh no, I don't want to watch that. What a load of crap. There's definitely a place for it, I think. I genuinely believe there's a place for it. However, I just don't think that, if you look at the league below, the EIHL, is it the NIHL? I keep forgetting. Yeah. There's fights in every game down there.
Yeah,
and they are putting bums on seats. However, that's because they don't have the talent, in my opinion, to basically play the game properly. Yes, they get goals and they get, it's a decent level for what it is, but it's not the elite league. You have 15 imports playing now. You're bringing guys over from North America. Davey touched on Blair Riley getting, coming in here with a a fighting mentality to a certain extent, and all of a sudden he's scoring goals. And I know a lot of guys would much rather score goals than get into fights and save their fists and save their bits and pieces and get on with it. But I think there is a potential of people being ready for it, but I just don't see it happening anymore.
It's that the fact that we don't have the players coming through or the imports coming through, because maybe not in the. But then if this guy Ram's coming through the AHL, and we need players coming through in the coast, ultimately, whatever happens in those sort of leagues starts to reflect over in Europe, because the European game itself didn't really have it, but we had it. And that's where sort of the elite league or the ISL started to get this reputation as being a cloggers league. We're not that anymore. We're skillful, we're fast, we're young, we get that. But Davey, and I saw you shaking your finger at me when I mentioned Jason Russian not being that sort of a player, but it's protection on the ice as well. It's the fact that I'm going to play the Shudra thing shortly, but you look at what happens and you see players do that, and there's no retribution. So, okay, maybe you're relying on Dops, but then you look at what happened with Shudra. There's no retribution. You can do that. And like you look at Shudra, if you look at the video that you've cut, it doesn't show the wider thing. But when you look at what Shudra did on the ice, not one Devils player gets involved. Not least that. Not one. Like you look at the Devils fans around him. Nobody's on their feet. But there has to be a level of fear in this game that you want to have. That you want to have that. That if I do this, I'm going to get rattled here.
I think the danger. So Brandt's on the bench. He can't come off the bench to do anything. He can jaw a bit when Shudra's obviously ejected from the game, and that'll build up now. The next time Cardiff and Sheffield play each other, there'll be a bit of especially on Twitter X, there'll be a little bit of Shudra's going to have to answer the bell. McWilliam will be wanting him, or Brady Brandt will be wanting him,
but it won't happen. But it won't happen.
May or may not. This is that. Well, what do you want to say about that?
No, I'm saying that the fact is that there's more, especially in our league, and maybe it also comes down to this element of the 2 points in October is worse than 2 points in March, and therefore you don't want to basically jeopardize your game. But that's why. But then we don't have. We took
the tough guy in the game, and we put Dops in their place. And Dops was supposed to be that tough guy. Dops is supposed to be what you're scared of.
It's a good point.
If you cross-check somebody 9 times, you're not going to get a punch in the head anymore. You're going to be sitting watching. That's what the point of Dops was supposed to be. Are they the tough guy?
So let me play the video. And there we have Cole Shudra. Well, you've counted 7. You said there were 2 before that as well.
Yeah, there's 2 before that. Now I went back. I don't know if you watched the whole game. There was an incident earlier in the period where Colton Saucerman took a hit behind his own net just before the first goal that Cardiff scored to make it 1-1. Now, I've watched the hit, and Glover and I were sitting watching it today because we're talking about it in the office, and obviously that the fine for Cole Shudra, which I couldn't believe it was just a fine, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. When you look at the incident for Colton Saucerman, there's a guy coming in to close the gap down on him, and then from the side, it's not from behind, from the side. I'm pretty sure it was Bush, who's that guy that Cole Shudra was cross-checking.
Yes.
And he makes contact with Saucerman. Saucerman stays on his feet. He doesn't go down or anything. He stays on his feet, but he goes straight to the bench. And then when the goal scored, not even 10 seconds later, there was a lot of commotion on the Sheffield bench. And to me, it looks like Saucerman's went down. You don't see him going down, but then the physio from Cardiff comes over, whatever they do. Obviously, the guys Saucerman's helped to the locker room. Hopefully he's okay. I never like to see anybody getting hurt playing the game, but Saucerman gets help to the locker room. I think you talk about retribution. I think that's what Cole Shudra was trying to do there. It's happened, the start of the second period. whatever they've talked about in between the periods, Cole Shudra taking off, with the greatest respect, Cole Shudra, fourth line player, taking off Bush, who's playing 18, 19 minutes a game, is a good move for the Sheffield Steelers. But obviously, Bush didn't bite. Cole Shudra had some cross-checks him 9 times, gets a 5+ game penalty. He's out off it. The Devils get a 5-minute power play. But the incident itself, I think that is Cole Shudra policing the game for his teammate. So, we talk about guys basically looking to back people up. That if you go back and look at the incident with Saucerman, it doesn't look like there's much in it. It really doesn't. And then all of a sudden, the kid's hurt. He goes off the bench. And obviously, they have talked about it. They may watch a bit of video and see who it was. I'm pretty sure it was Bush who hit Saucerman. And then they go up the other end of the ice 8 minutes later to start the second period. And that incident happens. Again, I might be wrong, but I don't think I am in this situation.
That's interesting, because then are you sending out, with all due respect to Cole Shudra, not a young Brit anymore, but a British player nonetheless, are you sending out a British player to take these sort of knocks in order that you have got it, that you are exchanging properly in that respect?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, they might have talked about it. They might have talked about it in the room, and he went, "I'll do it." I mean, it's a really smart move. It's, to be honest with you, you as a coach, you'd love that. You'd love that. You'd certainly give up a Brit of Shudra, with the greatest respect. You'd rather give up a Brit of Shudra than take Kevin Tansey off the ice. They've already lost one defenseman in Saucerman, or maybe take some, even Rob Dowd. Rob Dowd can drop the gloves with the best of them. He's a tough kid as well. And you'd certainly rather give up Cole Shudra in that situation. That's just my opinion.
But then
I don't know if you can go back and look at the games and look at that. But if you get a chance, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And Cole Shudra's back the statement up, which in that situation, fair play. But coming up just a fine, he's got very, very lucky there.
But then do we go back into the scenario, and bring you into this, Davy? We go back into the scenario there that we had many, many moons ago, where we bring in Andrew Sharp, who does very little, except a British lad who's very little, but he's there for that sort of muscle, but is only a Brit.
It's one of those things. I mean, I'm reading some of the comments here. Anthony Russell having to go at me for saying that don't really respect the standard of the EIHL. He's probably right, because I've only watched clips of it and maybe not saying, sorry, Anthony, but, it's one of these things where, the Brits just coming through. They're, there he is, just going to say now, can you put that comment up?
Yeah, I'll put that comment up.
Are we now suggesting Brits coming through to come and be punching bags? It's ice time, I suppose. He's absolutely right. But again, I think Shudra has taken it upon himself there. I don't think that I can't remember the coach's name at Sheffield.
Fox.
Aaron Fox. I don't think he said, right, Shudra, go and do that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think Shudra's just went, you know what, I'm going to take one for the team here. And he's taken one for the team. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. But, Anthony may be right. Again, apologize if I'm upsetting anybody. But look, the bottom line is the EIHL. I like watching the EIHL. I enjoy the standard. I enjoy the league. And I would rather have it over the NIHL, plus mainly because I don't have an NIHL team here. If I did, I would probably go and watch it.
So, Davey, I think what we're getting here is the fact that while we accept that there's a level of physicality in the game, that the game has changed, and that the idea of the enforcer is all but gone, like completely gone, and wouldn't come back.
Well, everything you said that piece at the start yourselves as well. Everything that has happened in the EIHL over the last 25 years has dripped down from the NHL. The game's got faster, the game's got younger, etc., etc. If there's those clogger guys are coming back in at the NHL, well, then you would imagine that over the next few years that will drip down. They get jobs in the AHL, the AHL push them to the coast push them to Europe pushes them to the UK, whatever. I don't know what Anthony's saying there. Are Brits supposed to be punching bags? But you even had Scott Conway on there saying, praising Mac at the start there, saying, if you want to go and get your place in the lineup, you got to go and be gritty. So doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to go out and fight or maybe cross-check somebody 7, 8, 9 times. but you got to go into the corners. You got to go and do the dirty work. You got to earn your ice time.
Well, sorry to interrupt, Davey, but I remember, was it you was it Gareth Roberts? You told him just if you want to get seen, get out there, get yourself seen, get stuck in, and that's and putting the hits in, throwing the fists about, get the ice time by putting yourself on the line.
Andre Hoffman gave him a pasting, but he went and did it.
But then is that and Anthony's saying it's ice time, I suppose, Davey.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I honestly believe that's a slightly different debate. The how British guys get their ice time. We're purely focusing on, do you see a time where we have a Paxton Schulte? But the Paxton's the wrong one because he wasn't one. I think Paxton's the wrong one. The likes of a Sean McMorrow or a Jason Rushton, who, by the way, scored the game-winning goal in the Challenge Cup semi-final. So it wasn't just a one-dimensional player either.
I knew that was going to be your point.
But some guys that just come in and they're sitting for getting 3 shifts a game, something like that, 3 minutes a game, and 2 of those shifts are a fight. Those days are probably gone. I don't know, Simon saying Adam would probably love someone that could score 15 goals and take 200 penalty minutes. I'm not sure whether he would want somebody taking 200 penalty minutes, although our penalty kill has been outstanding of late. But you want to be playing 5-on-5 as much as you can in the game nowadays. It's about winning. Most games are won 5-on-5, so that's it's a good debate. But I'm not sure that the enforcer will ever come back into the game. But to finish my piece, Dops then have to become that guy.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think the fact that what we got today from the Department of Player Safety, with Cole Shooter only getting a fine for that, has already raised eyebrows right across the league. But then I don't think that is Dops being that guy.
So in years gone by, Ben Lake's hit would have caused the nearest D-man to come and jump Laker. In days gone by,
if you go back and watch that, the goalie was the first one in.
There wasn't a fight. Nobody drops their gun. Yeah. Although I think that was probably, was it in the last 5 minutes of the game? There's
22 left.
So that wouldn't happen. So you fight in the last 5 minutes, or you instigate in the last 5 minutes. It's a game penalty as well. Where was it going with that? Where was it going?
You said about how the
Cole Shudra in days gone by. You cross-check somebody 9 times. The nearest Cardiff Deviler is just dropping the gloves and going there. These big incidents, you've talked about 11 incidents where players have been thrown out of game. The Bobo Carpenter one in Manchester a few weeks ago. Bad hit from behind. Bobo didn't play for several weeks. I'm trying to think of other ones involving the Belfast Giants. But if you're saying there's 11 over the course of the weekend, I can't remember hearing about 11 fights or 5 fights or 10 fights, whatever. So the fighting aspect has been taken out. And for me, if that is going to be gone because of the instigator rule and because players don't want to for a multitude of reasons, that's fine. Then Dops has to step in. And if you like, Dops has to drop the gloves. And if somebody cross-checks somebody 9 times, then they have to be dealt with accordingly.
There was an incident in our game on Saturday night against Fife. First period, one of their players skates straight into Jackson. Nothing happens. For me, that's wrong. Somebody should be grabbing him. Now, do you grab him, punch the face off him? You don't want to take a 3 + 5 + 10. Fife couldn't afford to basically be down an extra player at the game at the weekend because they were already short as well. But, you basically get in there and you let him know that's not acceptable. You got to protect your goalie. And it did rattle Jackson for a bit because, he looked like he was trying to shake the incident off. But things like that, you can't be doing that and getting away with it.
But Simon, that's where we're talking about the instigator rule. Actually, we have talked about this when instigator things have came up over the past. For me, the instigation there is hitting the goalie, not the person that comes in and does the, where they go, "Oh, you've traveled distance to get involved." No, you've just run through my goaltender. So
absolutely,
you've got to answer for what you've done. But
before
right past 10.
But yeah, before I close this little section, when we start to wrap up the show, it says you sent me the video for that.
Just missed it, Paddy.
Muted before, yeah. So we were back.
It's there.
That one in the corner.
Incident there, yeah. I mean, the guy comes in. Sosterman stays on his feet. I see him go on this. If you let that play now, he sort of goes down on his haunches just as the puck's turned over there. And if you watch him going to the bench, he's hurt there. I think that was Bush. And I think that's what Cole should was went back and had a go at him.
Wrong one.
I think that's when he's went back. And again, if that's the case, he's backing his teammate up.
Just one last question, gents, before we wrap it up. Is you look back into the history of the of our existence within the ISL and the Elite League. Which one player would you deem to be that tough guy, that enforcer? Do you think could slot into this Belfast Giants side in this Elite League and do a job?
Jason Ruff wasn't an enforcer, but you didn't mess with him. I'd take Jason Ruff anytime, any day of the week, twice on Sundays.
It's no secret that to me, Jason Ruff's the greatest player that's ever put on the jersey. But if you're asking me just for the insides, saying he wasn't a tough guy, but he was tough, which he was. He should have played a lot more in the. Anthony Russell has hit the nail on the head for me. I would also take Paul Rocco Ferrone in his prime, unmatched, pound for pound, the greatest that's ever played the game, fighter that's ever played in Belfast.
Yeah, big shout.
Just for pure fighting, we're talking, we talked earlier, Paxton came with goals and assists and everything packages. But if you're just going to put a guy in that you're going to know if the goes down, he's going to be ready. It's going to be Rocco.
It is a nuanced conversation, a debate that, that there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, lads. And I appreciate you debating that one through it. I think everybody.
Who would you have, Paddy?
Who would I have? Because I never say I'm here just to stir and ask the questions, mate. That's what I do. Who would I have? I would. Jason Ruff, I think, is a great shout. Adam Keefe.
I would absolutely get Keefe all day long as well.
There've been times over the last. But what I'm saying is there have been times over the last number of seasons with Adam Keefe's sides where I thought to myself that we've been subject to hits or something on the ice. I thought, hell, I wish Adam Keefe still played for us because I think as a player, he wouldn't let that pass. As a player, and I understand as a coach, he's got different sensibilities and he's got different personnel and got to do different things. But there are certain things through the last number of seasons that have happened to the Belfast Giants on the ice. And I thought if Adam Keefe was on this side, Adam Keefe would be sitting 5 minutes.
Remember last week I had Corey Carlander on?
Yes.
And Corey Carlander said about, I don't know if he's picked it up, but he said about Loider, Loider, he was tough and he fought a lot. And I was with Adam the next morning. And he says I was sitting back, in the green room, and Corey had said that, and he was sitting saying to himself, I want to come back on and correct him. He says, but he didn't want to burst his bubble. He says he's just a wee rat. He says he never fought anybody he just left that all to me. But again, you're absolutely right, Paddy. I would take a Kiefer all day, every day. That's just the type of guy that he was, and any team in the league would take an Adam Keefe right now. Any team in the league.
I agree.
Do we miss it? Do we miss a Keith Lloyd Garside line?
Yes. That
one line that you're going to send out there time and time again. I think
mayhem. I would absolutely take that right now. I would have taken it there. I was sorry it went the way that we didn't have it, but I would absolutely take just for
here's a question
pure
for
entertainment alone.
This is another one, right? So that third line of Keefe, Garside, and Lloyd, technically our third line right now is Ben Lake, Mark Cooper, and up until last week was Grant Mismash.
Yes. Well, and that's where our difference is now. That's where our difference is in the production of that line. But okay, but different times we would not have that. Well, no, we wouldn't have it as a fourth line. We wouldn't have the personnel to have it as a fourth line. We wouldn't have the import level to have it as a fourth line because it would, it'd probably be, we'd probably be over our limits. But yeah, where would you slot it in? That's a really good point. It's the fact that where would you slot it in and what would you want? And that's the nuance of this argument. That's the nuance of what we're discussing is the fact that if we want that physicality, where do we put those trades? Do we trade up the points production? Do we trade up the speed? Do we trade up the creativity? Because we have certain players that, role players. You can talk about the likes of other elements that we don't have, or to an extent, do we need are we missing Davy? Are we missing a Chris Higgins in that sort of, X factor? We'll give him a call, mate. We'll get him on. But yeah, but a brilliant chat, lads. And thanks to everybody who's been on the chat, giving us live comments and your thoughts on this. Will continue on Twitter, Facebook, and X and all that sort of stuff. And thanks to everybody for that. Right, back on the road for the Belfast Giants this weekend with a carbon copy of the weekend at the end of September. It's away to the Storm on Saturday at 7 p.m. at Planet Ice Altrincham, and away on Sunday at 4 p.m. to the Sheffield Steelers, where no doubt Scott Conway will have another fantastic reception. You get both those games if you're not heading over, and there was a great crowd head over last time, but if you're not heading over, you'll get both those. You get them on Storm TV and on Steelers TV. Any other business, boys?
I don't think so.
No. The tickets went on sale.
Happy birthday, Mel Angelstad this week. Happy birthday, Andrew Dixon. It was after
Happy birthday, Andrew Dixon. Indeed. And Mel Angelstad, and there's another name we didn't mention in that discussion.
Yeah, you did. You just touched on it there, Paddy, about the tickets for the birthday party are out there now. Again, the comms, just keep an eye on comms over the next couple of weeks. They're going to drop hints on what's happening on that, and there's a lot happening at that birthday night, and a lot of people don't realize. Well, we've had a lot of new fans over the years. Well, the ones watching tonight as well. The 2nd of December is the anniversary of our first home game, and that's why the event's on the 2nd. There was a lot of people said, "Why hold it the Monday night? Why do this? Why do?" That's the reason. That's why we're holding it. It's on that night was our first game in 2000, so it's like literally the start of our 25th year, and there's a lot of little things that are going to happen that night, and even the likes of the goodie bag that's basically going to be given to every single fan. You're not going to be able to buy this stuff when you go to the merch stall afterwards. This is exclusive on the night for the fans that are coming to that event itself. Might even see Davy and Paddy there. And basically dropping in on the bits and pieces. But again, keep an eye on what's happening over the next couple of weeks. But it's I know the tickets are selling really, really well, and there's a limited amount of tickets. So if you want your ticket, get on now and get it bought, because they're not going to be there forever.
BelfastGiants.com for all the information on how to get involved on that. It's going to be an absolutely brilliant night at W5. Is that it, boys? Are we done?
Davey, you finished? You all right, Davey?
Yes, a big nod of the head from Davey. Those two games, as I said, Storm away Saturday 7 p.m. You get that on Storm TV, and then back to the Sheffield Arena to face the Steelers Sunday at 4 p.m. You'll get that with JJ on Steelers TV. Big thanks to Scott Conway for coming and joining us. Big thanks, of course, to Mr. McGimsey and Mr. Kitchen for their time. On the socials, we can get us at AVFTB. You can get us on Facebook, Instagram. KingdomoftheGiants.com is obviously where you'll get a lot of information. You can even email us if you want. We don't have the rant line anymore, Davey, but maybe we'll reinstate the rant line. We did that once. But yes, big thanks to you boys, and wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey. We'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.